Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2 Point Conversion Monday night pregame show, not with the full complement of hosts. My name is Kyle Senner. I am joined by one of my usual co-hosts, Gladys. How are you doing?
Hanging in there, buddy. How are you?
Yeah, week 15 fantasy. Yeah, sorry, week 15 fantasy play. Well, that's the thing. We're just so excited. Like this time of year, fantasy playoffs, and Doc and Dan couldn't be here, but that's okay. Probably just as great of a guest as any of us are hosts. Courtney, also from the Going for Two family. So, Courtney, I know you second stint on the show this season, so welcome back. Glad to have you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's awesome. Again, really important time of year. And unfortunately, there's injuries. So while Doc can't be here, sent us a couple messages about some key players that we'll kind of go over. I guess, and we'll also preview the Vikings Bears game. If I remember correctly, placed me the Lions Packers week 2. So something about you in the NFC North. Apparently, your team is from the NFC South.
That's true. Kicked some butt last night. If we can say kicked butt, 9-0. But hey, we shut them out. That's cool. I'll take it.
Yeah, that's true. Huge impact, helping the Saints' playoff chances as well as some things at the top of who might win seed. So the Packers are pretty happy with that after the Saints kicked their butt early in the season. Thanks for doing it back to someone else.
I know.
That's the real reason I didn't show up week 2. No. But yes, I guess we can just talk directly about that game because there's unfortunately part of the reason that the Bucs did so poorly. The great Saints defense, giving credit to that defense for sure, because they have been able to hold them down. But the key injuries to key players really didn't help either. Chris Godwin was initially reported as an MCL tear or sprain, partial tear. Okay, like for regular season, maybe back for the playoffs. Further testing today revealed ACL tear complete, so he's out for the season, playoffs, NFL playoffs included, but certainly done for the fantasy season. So really not much to say about Godwin. Just to move on, and what's you could say, okay, the other receiving options for the Bucs, but Antonio Brown, I believe, is eligible to come back from suspension now, but still dealing with his own injury, and then with a hamstring injury as well. So we'll. I guess also Fournette hamstring injury too. So really, like 3 of the main weapons there: Godwin, Evans, Fournette. Evans, Fournette. We'll see about their timetable return. We know Godwin's certainly out for the season.
Yeah, I thought I read somewhere today that they said that Evans wasn't very serious and that he was probably going to be back next week.
Yeah, and it seems like the team is reporting Fournette's likely to miss a week. So like they're kind of like the team is a little bit hinting at the severity. They feel like even though both are listed with hamstring injuries, that Fournette seems to be more serious than that's kind of the sense we're getting. I know I'll quickly read over what Don, maybe not to be like overly optimistic about Evans. But yeah, definitely does seem like Leonard Fournette will miss next week.
You think they'll pull Scotty Miller up? I mean, he's done some pretty good things in the past, so he'll probably be up there and potentially a go-to guy.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, especially to replace Chris Godwin's role, like in the slot. I think that's kind of sure like the one-to-one replacement there. You also have Tyler Johnson, I believe, who could also maybe get some more playing time. And they did just sign Brashad Perryman, and I did have a productive game. I did the game-winning touchdown last week in week 14, but he was on the COVID list this week, so it'll be see if he's active for next week. Again, watch for Perryman, watch for Brown, watch for Evans. Like all 3 of them might be active next week, or none of them might be active. So I think it's just paying attention to the injury reports more than anything else. Sorry, I'll read Doc's message on both Evans and Fournette. So
okay.
Talking about Evans, he says hamstring, probably mild, grain 1 strain, not ruled out now, but Doc is usually pretty pretty cautious about this. He says as if Evans isn't going to play. So if you've got Mike Evans as a starter, have another receiver that you feel being your starter in a playoff game. And you don't just and if you get Evans, then you can kind of make that difficult on Sunday when he's active, and maybe be prepared mentally to kind of decide what you're going to do. But the other option ready because it does seem like a Doc is here. I should well, speak for Doc and can show his message. He says, "Hey all, greetings from the Doc. Have a great show. Merry Christmas and holidays. Good luck to everyone in the playoffs and see you everyone next week." So yes, we'll be back for 2 more episodes still of this. So you'll have time to see the Doc again. If you'll allow me, he's saying about Fournette injury as well. It sounds about the same, but again, it does just sound like the only distinction really that's being made right now is the team has kind of said Fournette's going to be out next week without like officially ruling him out. It kind of already have said he's gonna. They expect him to miss a week. So again, it sounds like Fournette's is more serious than Evans. That remains to be seen if that's a good thing for Evans or not.
Rojo's going to get out there and win somebody a playoff game, aren't they?
I mean, he's probably the number ad this week if he's available. He's probably going to get the workhorse role to himself. Guard still on injured reserve, and I mean, I think it's him and Keyshawn Vaughn, and they've seemed to do. It seems like they just like Bruce Arians never wants to give Jones any touches. That seems even more Vaughn, who just can't even make the field. So, I think Ronald Jones definitely probably the number 1 waiver ad this week. I would think.
Yeah, that's a good call.
For tonight's game, Adam. Yeah. Sorry. Gladys, did you want to add any insight? The Buccaneers there. Is there another player that we talked about? Again, Ronald Jones, Scotty Miller, Tyler Johnson. Again, Rashad Perryman if he's active. Like those are the guys that step up that could be available. Obviously, Gronk and Brown. If Evans is out, Gronk and Brown, those are like the main 2. But yeah, they're not going to be available, I would think.
Antonio might be. AB might be available. I've seen a lot of people drop him.
That's true.
With all his issues. So I would check and see if AB is on your waiver wire.
To be fair, maybe Gronk was dropped mid-season too. I'm sure by then he's picked up now. But yeah, you always do the due diligence, right, and check to see no matter what. For tonight's game, Adam Thielen. I don't know if that he's been ruled out yet. We're getting close to about a little bit over an hour before kickoff, so that would be done by now. I'm seeing reports that he's not expected to play. But again, I haven't seen anything ruled out, but operating as though Adam Thielen's not playing again.
Sleeper says that he is listed as inactive Monday night at Chicago.
Okay, so all right, good, perfect timing.
Considered a game time decision, but it says he's inactive. So
all right, yeah, just about in time right now. An hour and 15, an hour and 10 minutes before kickoff. It's usually when we get those official designations. I'm Thielen out. We'll talk more about the game a little bit later because I think by now people have already kind of probably made decisions on whether they're playing KJ Osborne or not. Maybe they had someone going Wednesday. There's no Wednesday football. Imagine that though. Tuesday night, like when the 4 teams playing tomorrow, maybe you had like a receiver to decide between KJ Osborne and them. I would say probably best to play Osborne. I can think of myself. I've got like KJ Osborne or Van. Like that's one where I'm kind of deciding. So I don't know how the news of Adam Thielen makes that. I was leaning Jefferson either way, but does this news that Thielen's out for sure sway that decision? I'm not sure it does for me, but how would you both feel?
I would play KJ Osborne, but I mean, I don't think you can go wrong with either one of those.
I mean, we saw KJ tear it up last week, and it was really nice, and we know that, Kirk Cousins is one of the most undervalued quarterbacks out there. He's going to throw. It is in Soldier Field, so it'll be a cold, dicey game. But I think that I would play KJ Osborne just because I feel like there's been a lot of Rams COVID stuff too, and who knows? I don't know. I just, if I know KJ Osborne's going to play tonight, it's kind of the same thing we've been doing with all weekend. If I know he's going to play tonight, and I know that there could be double coverage on Jefferson and Conklin, we all thought was going to have a great game last week with Thielen out. It was okay, but it wasn't great. I would play KJ Osborne too.
All right, so will I listen to the ladies? Maybe we'll find out a little later in the episode.
You should always listen to the ladies.
That is true. That is fairly good advice. But yeah, I think I will say the one thing that does lead me towards Jefferson is I also have Tyler Lockett, and the chance of Lockett maybe being active and playing, although again, which is the lead into the next thing is right now, it doesn't look like he's been cleared off the COVID list. So I guess maybe the assumption is that he isn't playing. If he was to be cleared in time for tomorrow, we probably would have found out by now, I would think.
My understanding is Lockett was symptomatic. He wasn't one of those players that was asymptomatic and vaccinated. He had symptoms of COVID, so he would have to go through 2, from what I understand. They changed it. I think they've changed it, but if he had symptoms, and even though he was vaccinated, he still has to have 2 negative tests. So it's kind of holding it close.
Yeah, again, and maybe he's tested negative today, and he has that time frame tomorrow. But again, we probably don't know. But yeah, so I'll toy with that through the episode. Again, I still have to host those, so I'm not going to go too much on that decision. I know Taylor Heineke for tomorrow. That is on the COVID list still. But I guess from all indications,
if you have COVID, if you were symptomatic of COVID, even if you test 2 negative, I would worry about his ability to run for long passes. I mean, it affects your respiratory system. So, and I know these guys are in great shape and they should be able to bounce back, but your respiratory system is your respiratory system. If you're expecting him to be Tyler Lockett the day after he tests negative, even though he had COVID that week, I would be a little sketched on that. Wait, Courtney, you're a nurse.
Wait.
Yeah. I mean, if you're symptomatic, I mean, personally, I don't care if you had a negative. I wouldn't let you anywhere near everybody else. I mean, I understand it's NFL rules, and that's completely different than, the CDC and hospital world and stuff. You know what I mean? Because it's a completely different. But again, COVID affects everybody so differently, and you're right. One person might just have a cold, but one person might be hacking. And I mean, I wouldn't be out there running. I wouldn't be out there passing. And I sure as heck wouldn't want to be around my other teammates because the potential that I could get more people sick. So, yeah, no, I wouldn't be out there. I wouldn't.
All right. Yeah. So, I mean, luckily, if I hold him, it doesn't. The rest of my fantasy team doesn't get COVID from that. But yeah, always the risk anyway.
I'm just talking about in general him playing.
Yeah, I know. I'm just being facetious here. I guess Jalen Hurts was the one player that was kind of going questionable. It seems like he's been removed from the Eagles injury report. All indications Jalen Hurts is starting, and it looks like for Washington, Taylor Heineke is still on the COVID list. Kyle Allen, who was placed on the list, has been activated. So from all accounts, it's Kyle Allen versus Jalen Hurts in that NFC East matchup, which is kind of pivotal.
Yeah, but Jalen Hurts was an ankle injury, and we're counting on Jalen Hurts, a lot of his points to be in that run game. So my hope is that they pivot to some of their running backs. So that would lower Hurts' ceiling, I think, immensely.
So yeah, not viewed as a top 12. And I mean, it would have been probably tough. People would have had to decide, unless they had Gardew as a kind of a parachute option, they probably would have had to decide whether they were going to play Hurts anyway. And Hurts or Stafford, you could still kind of toy with that decision. Try to think of other realistic options. Here's the thing, you would play Hurts over Kyle Allen though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I would.
I don't know that much about Kyle Allen, so it's hard for me to make that decision. But Hurts with a bum ankle, they're playing in Philly too, right? Where Philly's notoriously been bad this year. I don't know. I mean, why would Kyle Allen be my option for my only other option?
Well, yeah, just as I would say the people who are deciding between Hurts either if they've already quarterback on Sunday, they clearly aren't going to play Hurts, right? So you'd have to decide between player Hurts and Stafford, a better one. But I feel like at that point you're probably going Stafford.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Hurts and Wilson. Maybe that's. But again, maybe I don't know if that's realistic that teams have both, because Wilson's still a little banged up. What's your tolerance level there? Maybe that's fairer than Kyle Allen. I'm sorry.
I would go Wilson. Hurts over Wilson. I would go Wilson over Hurts. Even if Hurts wasn't hurt, I think I would go Wilson over Hurts. Even without Lockett. Because you still have DK Metcalf, you have Everett. Philly's going to try to run the ball, so they're going to they're going to have more time. So they're going to have, yeah, I would go Wilson.
Okay. Again, not sure if people have that decision, if those two were kind of attainable in the same ranges in drafts anyway. I guess, did you want anything about Jalen Hurts or the Eagles in general, or quarterbacks?
No. Not an Eagles fan. I'd like to see Kyle Allen come out there and crush it. I mean, it would be awesome, right?
That would
but,
be
you know, we can all dream.
That would be pretty awesome.
So, again, we talked about hamstrings of Mike Evans, Leonard Fournette. Also, Julio Jones aggravated his hamstring. I haven't heard anything yet, but you got to imagine this is a season ending for Julio.
I can't imagine anyone playing Julio Jones this late in the season. Even yesterday. I mean, I couldn't imagine anyone. I mean, yeah, these are desperate times, but Jones hasn't been healthy all year. He hasn't been healthy for like the last 3 years. So you have to believe that even if he starts a game, he's not going to finish a game.
He's one of those players that it hurts me to watch because he's so talented and he has so much potential, and his body has failed him over and over and over again. Yeah. And I mean, you know, going back to college, I watched the guy in college and he's incredible. And it's one of those that I just really look at and I'm just like, damn, you know, damn.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I wouldn't play him either.
Yeah. Again, I think it's safe to drop, I think, entirely, right? Because if you're not going to play him, why even hold them? Maybe like you drop someone, like sees the upside, picks him up, and wastes the roster spot on him almost at this point. Now, one last kind of injury to kind of discuss here. Joe Mixon suffered an ankle injury. Let me see. I think Doc said something about Mixon, so let me find what he had to say. Again, with ankles, the key is low ankle, high ankle sprain. Doc saying like the evidence of just seeing him walk on it on the sidelines, he's saying it's probably low ankle sprain, which is a good thing. The high ankle sprain is what, like, at this point would probably take him out for the rest of the fantasy season. Frankly, into the playoffs, even for the Bengals at that point. So a low ankle sprain, he might play this week, but he also could miss. It's probably similar to risk to Mike Evans at this point, probably. So it's unlike Fournette, where it seems like we know pretty certain that he's not going to play. Mixon's like Evans, where it might happen. Samaje Perine seems like he's in line. I think also Chris Evans is probably worth picking up, but neither quite priority of Ronald Jones, I don't think.
No. If Ronald Jones is available, that's who you're going after. Out of the choices that you just gave us, yeah.
How is Samaje Perine 26 years old?
He was that same. He was that same 2017 class, right?
No, but geez.
That's true. Yeah, we did. We talked. Yeah,
I agree. I would have to go because they're playing Baltimore next week, so yeah. I'd have to go Rojo too.
Well, okay, and Gladys. So outside of Samaje, can you think of any other running backs that you to pick up? I mean, you can look at one thing I was going to touch on was we're the highest scoring players. Probably the highest scoring running back this week, as everyone predicted. Duke Johnson for the Miami Dolphins, 20.2 fantasy points and half-point PPR. So I don't know, like I would think Ronald Jones is a pick up Johnson, but is Samaje Perine?
I picked up Duke Johnson when everyone was on like the COVID list, and then I was at work and they were like, "Oh yeah, Myles Gaskin's playing; he's off the COVID list," and I dropped Duke Johnson. So yeah, it's a really sore subject with me right now, but. In one of the leagues I'm in, Jeff Wilson is on the waiver wire still, who is a pickup. Even though Elijah Mitchell should be coming back, he seems to be like a delicate flower. So I would worry.
The nebulous comment Shanahan made, where he was kind of like really concerned about like his health. Like I would think Wilson probably gets one more week as the start. So. Ronald Jones or Jeff Wilson, like you're basically picking up both with a week in mind. Who would you rather have, or is it just based on the matchup?
I would pick up Jeff Wilson because he's on a team that runs more than traditionally than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Well, and it doesn't seem like historically Bruce Arians likes Ronald Jones for some
I
reason.
know,
So,
right?
so it's like, what do you, I mean, who's going to be, maybe they employ, OJ Howard to come back and help and do, I don't know. I just feel like Rojo could be so good there, but Bruce Arians doesn't give him the chance, or he has, and then he takes him right back out. Right.
Right.
Okay. So, if Wilson's still the priority, then if he's there, but
If he's
assuming
anyway, right, yeah.
most leagues he's not, Ronald Jones is probably a likely more available option. But like Gladys said, it could be Antonio Brown. It could scour the waiver wire and see are there any starting players that are available.
You're gonna have to start playing like your playoffs, like you're playing DFS. You're just going week to week to stay alive, especially in this where traditionally you're fighting injuries. Now you're fighting injuries and you're fighting COVID. So you have to. It has to be like a week to week thing. Even with your studs or your so-called studs. Kyler Murray yesterday. I mean, come on.
Oh my God, that was the worst game ever. Oh my God. God. So what are we thinking? Maybe who potentially could be a pickup if Eckler doesn't play?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The
Justin Jackson.
A couple players on the COVID list. Last thing to talk about. So Austin Eckler's on the COVID list. Travis Kelce on the COVID list. I like that name, Corey. I think Justin Jackson. It seems like they give him the passing work, and even when Runtree and Kelly's been in there, you've seen them both get short yardage. Them can pop the touchdown, but I think Jackson's the one that's going to be there on the passing downs. He's been with the team the longest. Right. He's been there almost as long as Austin Eckler has, right? So he knows that passing. I mean, I guess really it's a new coaching staff this year anyway, so it's probably they're all starting at zero anyway. But it seems like he's the most experienced passing down back in the NFL. So I like Jackson too. Gladys, is it a 3 for 3 on that?
Yeah, I like Jackson. If he's available, I would pick him up, especially with Eckler being on the COVID list.
Is Eckler vaccinated? Do we know if he is or not?
I don't think they released that information. I mean, I think they kind of do in a weird sort of way. Like they tell you if he has to have 2.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah, but they don't say.
Sometimes it comes out, so I just didn't know if either one of you had heard it because that's like you're hearing if you're seeing 2 positives to get back on and they might have a potential chance or whatever.
Yeah.
And now they've just changed the protocol last weekend, right? So now it's if he's just on the list because he's a close contact and if he's not showing any symptoms, although it seems like if he's asymptomatic, not even going to be on the list anyway. So I don't know. It's tricky now. I don't know. I don't know how to take it. It seems like it's easier to get off the list, but it's also now maybe harder to get on the list. So if he's on the list, that's been signed anyway at this point. I don't know. It's So So Justin Jackson or Ronald Jones, I guess. So maybe Ronald Jones isn't such an obvious number one guy. Who would you rather have between those two?
Justin Jackson.
Who are the Chargers playing? Oh, they're playing the Suns. So yeah, Chargers are playing
the Chargers. That's true.
Oh, they're playing the Texans. Oh yeah, I would definitely go Justin Jackson.
These guys over. Okay, yeah.
Go ahead.
The one thing I will say is, like you mentioned, Cordy, the lack of tendency to run. I think you echoed that as well, Gladys. But I mean, if they're missing Evans, if they're missing Godwin, if Brown's not back, do they not have it to run more because of their lack of weapons too? Do they change their approach a little bit, and then that makes Ronald Jones? But I agree. I think you play the matchup almost with Jackson. Hey, here's the thing: Eckler last week, so short week, didn't play all the snaps, so Jackson was still playable. Like he outscored. I'm pretty sure he outscored Alvin Kamara this week, right? So he outscored some running backs he would have, we were saying about Duke Johnson, right? You kind of bummed about that news, but I played Myles Gaskin in a couple spots that he was active, right? And he disappointed there too, right? So Justin Jackson was still kind of usable. He was usable last week if you had the courage to play him, or if you had him in and you weren't alerted to Eckler's presence and you didn't take him out in time and you lucked into having Jackson, you might have actually been surprised he outscored some other running backs. So yeah. No, actually, I think Jackson might be the number one pickup then. Fair point.
I just don't see a team with Brady under center having the run be their primary focus, no matter who's out there. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I still think he's going to chuck it to Scotty Miller, or he's going to chuck it to probably AB and Gronk a lot. So,
I mean, even putting OJ and Brayton there, right? I mean,
Yeah.
he's, you know,
Yep.
they've got 3 tight ends that are decent tight. I mean, well, we know Gronk's not just decent, but I mean, Brayton, OJ, they can get in there and do it too.
yeah. So I would still go Jackson.
That makes sense. Yeah. Okay. You both convinced me. Good job. Jalen Darden. I think he's a rookie this year. He's another wide receiver for the Bucks as well to watch out for. So like Miller, Darden, Tyler Johnson, all 3 of them. It's kind of pick your flavor. I feel like Johnson, Darden are probably going to be higher C's. Miller, safer floor, especially with Godwin out. He kind of becomes that slot receiver. If you're looking for, especially in PPR leagues, higher reception floor, Miller might be the guy there. Might be one of the higher wide receiver pickups. Gladys, I do have a question for you. Pat fell with a concussion. I believe Eric Ebron's on IR as well. So who's the starting tight end for the Steelers if Freiermuth can't go?
It's a good question. I honestly have no idea. I don't know, and I am hoping that Freiermuth clears concussion protocol. What was wrong with Ebron? It's his knee, right? Was it knee injury?
I can't remember. I believe. Hang on. Is he on IR? Yeah, Ebron on injured reserve. I'm looking it up right now. But I just looked up on our lads the depth chart. You've got Zach Gentry and Kevin Rader as the Ratter. Kevin Ratter. So Zach Gentry and Kevin Ratter are the next guys up at tight end. You also have Derek Watt at fullback.
This week to play. So Gentry would be the tight end if neither one of those two can go. But I don't see them. I don't see them targeting Gentry even if Freiermuth is out. Like they're back in the playoff run. You know what I mean? Like everyone in that division is in the playoff run. Anyone in that division right now can probably, especially if what's his face keeps going for 2 instead of trying to tie the game. Everyone in that division.
Everyone's going for 2.
Everyone's
going for 2. Kickers are extra. You give them the boot.
And they play the Chiefs next week. So yeah, I don't. I wouldn't pick up Gentry if that's the question. No, Zach Gentry is not on my watch list to pick up.
You'd rather pick up either the Bucks tight ends. Go pick up OJ Howard.
Or OJ Howard.
I think with Freiermuth situation, it's the player. He's a pretty good athlete, like above average to like an average for NFL tight end, obviously way above average for a human. But like he's kind of he's a difference maker where he'll get extra yards on rest other guys won't. He can get separation better. He's faster, just more athletic and kind of gets it already as a rookie. So like it's not the situation right now. Ben's not playing the greatest. Like his situation isn't elevating him. It really is player. And then so Gentry isn't going to be able to replicate what Freiermuth is doing. You might get the same targets, but more production off those targets. So I agree with that. Chase the situations at tight end.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to get the same targets that Freiermuth did either. I mean, I think
that's probably true.
Yeah, so
if anyone gets more targets on the team, it's probably James Washington, right?
It's going to be James Washington. Yeah, especially against. You have to think the defense was a little bit better last week, but it's the Chiefs, and you got to think they're going to be putting up points, so they have to match that. It's going to be Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, James Washington, Najee Harris.
What about old Ray Ray?
I mean, it seems like he's mostly there for special teams, right? Like he's one of the primary returners. I've rostered him before, being like, okay, he's like the 3rd or 4th receiver there, but yeah, it just seems like they'll just Gentry will probably get more targets than Ray McLeod. That's the one target.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
I got him in a dynasty where he picks up point return, points, and he puts up about 10 points a game when I've played him once or twice, and it's not too bad, in a pinch. So
You know the formats, right? Roster him. That's the right format to roster him,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Knowing the formats, the first rule of any fantasy advice a lot of times, right, is check those scoring settings. And one other player that got a concussion is Teddy Bridgewater. So Drew Lock may start for the Broncos next week. So I think from a single quarterback perspective,
they're saying out here Bridgewater's not going to play next week.
Yeah, it seemed pretty ugly. It's this. Yeah. I mean, frankly, they might just lock the start the rest of the year just to see what he can do, type thing.
Yeah, probably. Unless,
I mean,
again,
single quarter
in a division where if they could make the wild card if crazier things have happened. So,
yeah, fair enough. That's true. Yeah, they are kind of like in that playoff spot, like all teams kind of are right now. Even like division wise or wild card wise, like it's still. So yeah, so Drew Lock I think is he's a streamable option at quarterback this week. If he's available in super flex leagues, definitely pick him. And I mean, you might get more than one start out of him too. So. Yeah, we can. Was there anything else? I guess spot start at quarterback that leads us to the number one fantasy player this has been Tyler Huntley. Actually, I guess it's Kelsey, depending on the league scoring setting. But Tyler Huntley at quarterback right now, 35.9 fantasy points. And I mean, I know like Scott Fishbowl, for instance. I think he got up into the 40s as well. By the way, if you want great going for two hats, the Scott Fishbowl shirts. I know it's the fantasy player. So I thought I'd put on my favorite Scott Fish. I know for myself, I'm in the I'm on the dark side of the fish in the fantasy in the playoffs. I didn't make it into the playoffs this year, but still, I think fun contest and gear you can get goingfor2.com/store or ViridianGlobal.com to get not just the Going for Two gear, the Scott Fishbowl gear, but all the stuff that Viridian Global does. So just shout out to them. Great gear. Going for two. Apparently, everyone's going for two. Like we're saying,
the guy who won the Mo Maker in DraftKings had Huntley as his quarterback.
You'd have to.
Who would have known we would have played Huntley over Kyler? Like, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd play Huntley over. I mean, Huntley outscored every single quarterback. He is the quarterback one, and I think, like I was looking, he basically outscored every other in conventional scoring settings by about 10 points. Like no one's even really. Like,
I mean, but he did all right. Like the last time he was in. I mean, it's not he's not like a Kyle Allen where you're not really sure what you're going to get. He performed last time when Lamar was out, so. I mean, I think there are a couple of quarterbacks you would have played him over, maybe, going into the week. Like this game here.
Yeah, for sure.
I would have played him over either one of these quarterbacks.
Oh, yeah, Nick Mullins or I guess Carr. Yeah, Carr. But yeah, Carr's been pretty struggling a lot of late. That's true.
Yeah.
We do have a Mono asking, may I ask a fantasy question? And yes, of course. You could ask any question, asking a question if you can ask a question, which counts as a question. But yes, there's no question. Ask as many as you want, but feel free to ask away. Thanks for being so polite, Mono. Or Mano, I suppose. I'm bad at pronouncing. just blame it on my Canadian accent. So I guess it's actually perfect time for that because we are about to basically prep for the Monday night here. Unless there are any other topics either of you lovely ladies wanted to discuss.
No, I'm good.
Can I just say how heartbroken I'm going to be if Kelsey doesn't play this week 16? That's all I got.
You and me both.
Yeah.
Going to be super
I'm not even sure I'm going to be in next week because Hunter Renfrow is not doing anything right now.
I know. Brian Edwards.
What is that about?
All right, so we got a question. So Mano is saying, I have Justin Jefferson and Cook starting tonight. My QB1 is Jalen Hurts, but I have Cousins on my bench. Okay, this is interesting. Being that theirs are so hurt and Hurts has been off health-wise this week, do you stack? I would ask, okay, so how many are you behind in your matchup, and if so, by how many points? But I know, Gladys, you're probably thinking you play Cousins no matter what. You seem very playing Hurts anyway, so you're probably not even worried about the stack. Courtney, you're saying that too? And we'll get to the over-under lines on Cousins. I think it's pretty good. I mean, I guess quickly.
I want to know the same thing, though. 72% chance of winning right now. I'd go with Cousins.
I mean,
I would go with Cousins.
Yeah, honestly, I guess I don't even know why I asked. I think Cousins is the answer. If I look at my rankings this week, I think I had Cousins ranked ahead of Hurts anyway. So you might stack Cousins with right now. So yeah, so projections are 123 projected versus 105. Yeah, I think I'd go with Cousins. Get the Cousins to Jefferson stack.
Right now, 120 projection versus his 105. Wait,
he's saying Hurts
is 105?
No, I think his opponent.
No, that's their team. His opponent.
His team is projected to score 123, and his opponent is projected to score 105. And that's
what's the score right now?
I'm assuming that's
what is the score right now?
Yes, that is a good question. What's the current points at, and does your opponent have any other players playing as well?
Right, that's a good question. Who does his opponent have playing?
Yeah, knowing do you just have to get to a certain, or like is your opponent already at that 105 and like they've had all their players play? But anyway, wait for that.
Play Cousins.
I would because
I do agree. Go ahead, Courtney.
You got to play. No, I was just going to say, I mean, we know that the Vikings, they always have that, what if they're going to win or if they're going to lose or if they're going to screw it up, but they always play pretty well against the Packers and the Bears. Like they just do. And Kirk Cousins is going to throw a ton. He has Kupp and Michelle. I would still play Cousins. I just would because there's just that what if, like Gladys was talking about earlier of Hurts and if he's going to be able to, run and all that stuff. So I would play Cousins. I just would.
So BetMGM, one of their prop bets is Kirk Cousins 2+ touchdowns thrown in the game, and then for Jalen, for Hurts, he's not even on a prop bet. That's really sad.
Probably because of the quag, right? Like they'll probably put up lines for Hurts tomorrow when it's more clear that he's playing.
Yeah.
Okay, so it looks like Mano is down 50 to 80 points, with whoever's quarterback is Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook, Rams defense, and while his opponent, again, 30-point lead, but only Cooper Kupp and Sony Michel. Cooper Kupp is one of those players that could just explode. So, I really feel like in the fantasy playoffs, I almost default to ceiling anyway. And to me, the highest ceiling move is the Cousins Jefferson stack, and you're hoping that you're getting 2 touchdowns passes from Cousins to Jefferson, and like if that's 4-point passing touchdown, 6 points per receiving touchdown. Just the 2 touchdowns alone from Cousins gets you 20 points. And then you throw in all their yards and the receptions after that. But like if you can get that double touchdown stack from, again, passing from Cousins to either Jefferson or to Dalvin Cook, I think that's the highest ceiling play. And going up against a guy like Cooper Kupp, I think you need that. So yeah, I think all 3 of us are in agreement to go with Kirk Cousins tonight.
Right, and Henderson was activated off the COVID list, so there's a potential that Michelle's going to play, but he's not going to get all the touches because, you know what I'm saying? I mean, Henderson is going to want to get out there and continue to play. He's the main running back. So, I mean, he's not a running back 1 right now, but he'll be running back 2 in this game, right? So yep. I would totally go with Cousins. With all that, go with Cousins.
As he's saying, he's messaging, I can't see that not happening, like the idea that we'll score a lot of touchdowns with the Bears secondary completely out. Like I think they're maybe missing some players, and I mean, frankly, they haven't really been that great anyway. So I think, we're all saying Cousins here, and perfect time to get to that matchup. So thank you for giving us that perfect transition into that Bears Vikings game. Last time I checked the over under 45.5, with the Vikings as 6.5-point favorites. Do you have that on the screen? Let me pull that up. I prepped all this, right? Good job. Courtney, as the you go first here. What are your thoughts on either that, both either the over under or the fact that the Vikings by 6.5?
If Mike Zimmer can get out of his head and quit making dumb decisions in the last 5 minutes of a game as the head coach and the defensive coordinator, then I think that this could easily I don't know about that over, because I don't know if Justin Fields is going to come out slinging. But I do like the Vikings winning by 6.5. I like them winning by a touchdown easily. So I don't know. I'm going to go, yes, Vikings over Vikings in the 6.5, but I don't know. I think I might go under.
Gladys, what are your thoughts?
What's the weather in Chicago right now? Does anybody know?
I'll take.
Good question.
That's a great question.
How about that? I'll take a look at that, Gladys. What do you feel about both the over/under and the Vikings as 6.5-point favorite?
I would take the Vikings because every other has them at 7, have a touchdown. I would take the Vikings and the points. Over under 21. I would go under, especially in Chicago with that wind. I would go under.
That's why I'm curious about the weather.
Yeah, I'm just pulling that up now. In terms of wind, 13 kilometers an hour. Oh wait, that doesn't help anyone. Wait, what's that in miles?
What is kilometers? I'm just kidding.
That doesn't seem too bad. Like that could be much worse wind wise for Chicago. This seems like a fairly tame Chicago wind.
Isn't Chicago one of those fields where you're not worried about the velocity of the wind? You're worried about the swirl.
Yeah, have you been to Soldier Field? It's crazy.
I know.
Okay.
I have. I know during a game, but I've been there.
But close to 40-mile-an-hour winds, that's enough that'll disturb things.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna. Yeah. I think it.
Or is it the opposite? Is it half of kilometers?
Long distance throwing. So I'm gonna go really high on whoever's in the slot for both teams.
Okay. Yeah. So Gladys, you kind of agreeing with Courtney that you like the Viking over at that 6.5-point favorites.
I agree with the lady with the Santa hat on.
It's an elf hat.
It's a what?
It's an elf hat. See my ears?
Oh, nice. Even better.
I hear you.
I know.
Even better.
Oh, I hear ya. Bringing in all the jokes.
Thanks for hearing that one. I think the only reason I would disagree with the Vikings as 6.5-point favorites is, Courtney, you were kind of Zimmer, right? Is Zimmer going to make it so that they kind of fumble it and it stays close, right, till they win by 3 or 4, right? Like I think that's maybe my only hesitation, because Fields has progressed fairly well over the last few weeks, so I actually think he's going to come out and look good. And if the wind's too strong, maybe they won't. Maybe the Bears are that coach staff is stubborn, but I think Fields can kind of things on the ground more if they're really having the troubles passing. So I think I'm gonna bet against Zimmer and take the Bears. Take the Bears as 6.5 dogs, thinking the Vikings will still win, but it'll be closer than they won't win by 7.
Okay.
And I like the over. I think for that to happen, I think the Bears probably have to push them for the over, because I think they can't score very many points. The Vikings will run through it, and the under might be reached, but the Vikings there. So I think that for me, for it to make sense, I think I've got to go Bears and under, Bears and over. Sorry. But now, yeah. I like cheering for either of these teams as Packers fans. That's why none of this makes sense. But yeah, we can get to those quarterback lines as we were talking about. So Gladys, you mentioned Kirk Cousins. You're seeing on was it BetMGM?
Yeah.
Yep. 2.5 touchdowns.
2 plus touchdowns. So 2 touchdowns for sure.
Oh, 2. Yeah, 2. Okay. Yeah, I think 2 is definitely attainable.
Yeah, I mean he's had 2 touchdowns in his last 3 games.
Are we talking Cousins or Fields?
Cousins.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, I'm agreeing with that.
Yeah.
Also, I found this on Thrive. Cousins passing line at 262.5. I don't know if you've seen anything different from that, Gladys.
No, 262 is really high. I would go under on the passing yards, quite honestly. I mean, I think you get 2 touchdowns. Yeah, for Cousins.
You like the touchdowns more than the yards?
I do, especially with Thielen not there. I like the touchdowns more than the yards.
It's funny because I would almost think with Thielen not the yards more than the touchdowns, because that seems like that's where Thielen's bread and butter has been catching those touchdowns. So, but it's interesting. So, like a slot, like you're saying, slot receiver, accumulator in the wins and stuff like that. So, yeah, I get your point. Courtney, what do you? So, yeah, you like the Cousins touchdown. What do you think about the yards? 262.5.
What's he averaging? That would be a great question.
In his last 3 games, he's had 216 yards, 340 yards, and 238 yards.
Well,
so against San Fran, Detroit, and Pitt.
The last thing I saw was Jefferson was like at 101 or something like that on his yardage. I don't know. I kind of think that I might have to agree with Gladys on this one. Girls got to stay together, right? No, I think that even though I am pretty darn confident that the Vikings are going to win, Cousins will still put up a couple interceptions here and there. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's a pretty high number. So I think I'll go under. I think I'll go under on the yardage too.
Plus, Dalvin Cook is completely healthy now, right?
Yes. I mean, I think, right?
I mean, it seems like the shoulder, like Doc was saying, I think a couple weeks ago, like, with the AC joint, there's always the risk, like it comes out and does more damage to the AC socket. Right? Every time you dislocate, that's always a risk. So, like, it seems like he's wearing that harness and braced up, so maybe that risk is minimized. So I wouldn't say he's fully healthy, but it tough to think the change isn't like that much greater than it is for any player playing football.
Maybe he needs to always wear the harness because he seems to do really well when he comes out of injury and wears the harness.
Yeah, and you're not worried about Madison
rushing
taking rushing yards because Madison's on the COVID list. So I think they're going to run a lot too.
Maybe I'll play devil's advocate here. The one thing I'll say is with Cousins, 7 times this season he's hit that over, and 6 times he's hit the under. I think they've set the line at a pretty good spot. In 7 career meetings against the Bears, 4 times he's hit the over, 3 times he's hit the under. So, they're leaning just enough that I would probably lean over here. But yeah, it's I think it's a really good one.
In Chicago.
Where those?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. So I know. First off, I know games where he hit the over. He was actually with Washington. So if you look at just his time with Minnesota, he's only hit that over twice, and he's hit the under 3 times. So if you look at just his time with Minnesota, it's a little not as good there, which would give credit to your arguments, right? Like he's generally playing with better teams, better than Minnesota, not needing to put it all on his back, like for say in Washington, where I think he played the Bears 12 times. He played the Bears as a member of the Washington football team, not named that at the time. He hit the over. So 100% with Washington, but under 50 with Minnesota.
Okay.
One line that I saw, and I was initially like, oh, that's great, is Fields. It's the passing and rushing combined. And you know me, I love give me the multiple possibilities where it doesn't have to all just be one. If I could, you can get this in multi. That's 252.5. And I thought, okay, the combined is less than Cousins passing, which expect Fields alone passing to be that. I started looking into the numbers though. But only the games where Field has played the full game. So it didn't count the game where he got injured, didn't count the game where he took over for Dalton. So in the 8 starts he made and completed the full game, only 3 times he hit the over on that. In combined 5 times he's hit the under, but the 3 times he's hit the over have been 3 of the last 4 games. He has figured it out recently. So it is leaning me to that direction. Like he's kind of again with that rookie development. It was slow to start, but I think he's kind of found something. Maybe they're also letting him run a bit more. Because I was checking, there was a point of the season where he didn't see more than 3 rushing attempts in any of his starts, except his very first start he had 10. But then after that, they just didn't let him run. And then since their bye, he's had more than 3 in every game. So they've let him run more. So the recency bias might keep the streak going. But if you look at his season overall, you'd say he's probably not going to hit it on it. But recent trends are there. So what do you both think about Justin Fields?
Did he get pulled out of the Baltimore game? Did he get hurt during the Baltimore game?
That might be the one where he got injured. Yeah.
Okay. So not counting the Baltimore game, he's had 74 yards rushing, 45 yards rushing, 103 yards rushing, and 38 yards rushing. But his passing,
What's the number again?
So
252.5.
And that's combined.
Yes.
Okay, so the Vikings secondary is not that good.
And I believe they've had a player, they just released one of their starting corners. It seemed like there was an all something. So, and midweek, so they've kind of had to maybe even scramble even more than normal in that cycle.
But isn't Allen Robinson's on COVID, right? So he just has Darnell Mooney and
Cole Kmet,
Jimmy Graham,
Jakeem touchdown pass.
Jakeem Graham, and Demiria Bird.
Yeah.
But Grant, isn't playing the peak, so he's not always going to look like an all-world player if you're not playing the Packers. So.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say there's just something that just, I don't know, that just seems high to me for somebody that has not been 100% able to prove himself week in and week out. But that's just me. I'm always that, Debbie Downer. So I don't know. I mean, because I was looking at his rushing. They had his rushing alone just at I think when I saw the line, it was 44 and a half. That's pretty, I don't know. That's pretty low for a rookie that uses his legs a lot. So I don't know. I would say under.
All right. Yeah, I feel like if you had to tell me to pick either of those quarterback lines, I'd probably go Cousins and say Cousins over. But I am. So yeah, my initial instinct to feel is, I love that. But the less I'm optimistic about it. But I think it's fairly close, especially because it's recent. Looking at the two running backs, Dalvin Cook, his over under is set at 91.5 rushing yards. Montgomery at 59.5. So Courtney. Is there either of those lines that you in either direction over or under?
What was Cook's again?
Cook is at 91.5.
I think I got to go Cook on that one. I feel like I'm just going on Vikings tonight for some reason. I don't know. That's pretty low for Montgomery though. Is he tweaked or something? I feel like that's kind of low for him. The Vikings don't have that great of a defense. I feel like I don't know what their rushing defense rank, but I know their passings. I think they're 30 out of 32 or something. I don't know about their rushing, but that seems low for Montgomery.
Yeah, Montgomery hasn't really produced. So, I mean, he's only had one game over 100 yards, and that was against the Lions.
Yeah, but 40 yards, I don't know. I feel like he
also only need him to get to 60 too, right? This is at only 50.5, the discounted total.
So last games, 42 yards, 90 yards, 46 yards, 58 yards, 63 yards, 106 yards.
I'm going with Cook.
I would go with Cook too.
So, and I looked at it. So Cook has hit the over. He's played 10 games this year. He's hit the over in half of them. He's hit under in half of them. If you look at his career against the Bears, he's hit the under 3 times in his 5 games against the Bears, and he's only hit the over. However, both of those overs were last season. So his 2 most recent games, he went 9 yards and 132 yards against the Bears. I think he's probably – I think, it seems probably kind of like Cousins, right? I kind of just bank history and kind of thinking that both of them can reach that over. But Courtney, like you, the instinct of seeing Montgomery so low. So I looked at it. Glass, I know you mentioned the recent performances. You mentioned those two 40-yard games. There are only 2 of 3 times this year where he's failed to hit the over. If you discount the game where he left early due to injury, obviously then it'd be 4 times. But I took that game out, and he's only missed that over 3 times. His Vikings, he's hit the over twice, over 60 yards, under once. So just looking at that, the disparity between the two. Frankly, if I look at all the lines for all the player props, I think Montgomery is probably my favorite. Go over that 60 yards. I think he's capable. I know Eric Hendricks is back for the Vikings this week. Their star middle linebacker, so maybe that probably hurts Montgomery. But again, being set so low at 60, it's really tempted for me to take that. So that'd be my favorite line of everything. Now receiving. So we've got Justin Jefferson at 96.5. Darnell Mooney at 52.5. Both tight ends, Tyler Conklin, Cole Kmet at 30.5. So Courtney, I know you have to depart. Let you go first here. Is there a receiving line that you like the most?
With not too many options, I like Mooney going over that mark because Mooney's been playing really well, and we just said Allen Robinson's out, and I like Mooney going over that. I don't know what you said he was at. I had him written down at 53 or something, but I like Mooney going over that.
Yeah, what Thrive had was 52.5. So yeah, right on that 53. Yeah.
I like Mooney going over that.
Gladys, how about you?
I agree. I agree with Mooney going over without Allen Robinson in the game. and we assume they're going to be playing catch up. So,
yeah, I
Mooney
think
over 2.5.
I mean,
it's
that's two
similar
deep
to
balls, right?
That's true. It's trusting Fields to make them, but against this Viking secondary, I think I certainly do it. But yeah, maybe I'm a little more optimistic on Fields than most. It's similar to the argument with the running backs, right? Like, there's players so much lower than the Vikings player. Like as much as okay, Jefferson's great, and like I saw his line at over 100 yards at one point.
Yeah, earlier today when I was looking at it coming down the mountain, it said I had Jefferson. It was at 100.5.
Okay. So 96.5 on Thrive, more than maybe some other sites. So maybe that's something to take advantage of. But I think I still might prefer Mooney, and I might even Conklin, actually. Like 30.5 yards seems attainable for Conklin. Again, I know we talked about disappointment without Thielen. Conklin's value is more touchdown, and that's where, like, fantasy points-wise, that's where we're looking more than the yards. I just I looked up the numbers with, like, just between the two tight ends. Hit it the over 7 times, under 6. Komet's hit the over 6, the under 7. So having them both at the same line, really equal kind of a line on both. I guess I like Conklin kind of to the same reason why I like Cousins. Like, it's almost one of those, if you like Cousins over, you kind of like Conklin over. If you like under, you probably like Conklin under. So those two might be tied. And then, yeah, it's all about Justin Jefferson, because, like, he'd get 200 yards. Like, he could get 250, hit the under on his line, and Jefferson could still go and pass his, right? It's always that risk.
Yes.
Surprising, though. Jefferson has hit the under 8 times on the 96.5 this year, the over only 5. I was a little surprised that it was that far away. So, like, at first I see that line, okay, that's too high, but then looking at that research, it's kind of maybe why I wanted to maybe go more towards the run games. Like, again, Montgomery, get Fields on combine, get Dalvin Cook, like, maybe invest. Again, I'm the running back guy. I love him gaming. So maybe that's my bias. But even with all these receiving lines, Montgomery's still my favorite. Overall favorite line. Could also be the overall game line, the over under, or the Vikings by 6. Like, do you prefer that over any player prop?
I like the 6.5, the Vikings.
Okay.
6.5.
Yeah, again, I'd go Montgomery, Courtney.
Yeah.
What's your favorite line overall? Could be a player line, or it could be one of the game
I think
lines.
I like Mooney over. I think I like Mooney over.
Okay.
That seems pretty attainable too, actually.
Yeah, it does, and I just think he's been playing well, and yeah, I like Mooney over because their secondary, the Vikings secondary, is not that good. So yeah. So
I may have to change.
But yeah, I think so again, so we're okay. I'm saying it's Montgomery, Courtney saying Mooney, Gladys might be Mooney, or again the Vikings is 6.5 favorite. So if you could pick 3 lines and you get those 3 together, that might be. Certainly, and I think it stacks well. Not necessarily the Montgomery, but certainly the Mooney, right? Like, if the behind, you figure Mooney's going to get enough receptions to go there. So, like, stacking just even those 2 lines, like Mooney over Vikings winning, like, that probably makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I'm going Mooney.
Yeah, my husband's at the casino right now, and it just came through. He just sent me the thing, and it's still at. Let's see, they don't have anything for Osborne. But Mooney's still at 55.5. So yeah,
55.
55. That's what he got at the casino here. Yeah, 55.5.
So again, that Thrive line at 52, a little lower than some other casinos. Maybe take advantage of that line if you can, and maybe you will thrive.
I don't use Thrive.
Okay, I got a question for both of y'all before I head out. I got to take my kiddo to a Christmas party, but my husband keeps texting me and saying you got to ask your mates there. He wants to know who he should start tomorrow night, OBJ or Scary Terry.
Ooh.
I mean, first off, they've made a decision. Like, has McLaurin been cleared from concussion protocol yet?
I don't know.
They both play at 7, so it won't be a timing issue. You'll find out. Like, and Beckham was on the COVID list, but I believe he's been active. I don't know if
Beckham's
OBJ's been active.
I believe he's going to play.
Yeah, he's active.
Here's the thing.
I would play OBJ only because I trust the quarterback more.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was about to say. If Taylor Heineke was playing, I think I'd play McLaurin, trusting him as the alpha there, as opposed to Beckham, who might be the 3rd guy. But Kyle Allen, I'll take Matthew Stafford's 3rd target over Kyle Allen's top target, frankly.
Yeah.
I mean, I know like he was in Washington last year. I know like Haskins started the season, and I mean Haskins, but the fact that like they were in a win now team, and okay, yeah, he's the first round pick and get the first shot, but the fact that, like he beat out Kyle Allen still and was clearly better than Kyle Allen, it looked like, shows kind of how bad Kyle Allen is. And then it took Alex Smith, once he was healthy, came in and he was not very great, but still much better than Allen. So yeah, I think we've seen the level of Kyle Allen play. He was a bit. I think he was came 1 year in Carolina too, and he was just awful there as well. So yeah, I would.
I remember him.
I would.
Yeah.
Browns lose. Last minute kick.
Oh wow.
Who? What was it? Did the Raiders win?
14. Raiders won 16-14.
Okay. All right.
That. I mean, that is huge for playoff implications there. But yeah, Courtney, I would. I think we're all in agreement. It's telling your husband to go with Odell Beckham Jr.
I'll tell him he'll be very happy. All right, you guys.
In the casino.
I'm about to go stand and watch little kiddos make cookies, s'mores, and gingerbread houses. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It sounds like a great time.
You realize I'm going to be on my phone watching the game the whole time. So I mean, whatever.
well, I mean that sounds a lot of fun too. But we had a blast having you on, Courtney. So thank you very much.
So much.
Where they can find a follow.
Gladys, I hope you feel better, and Merry Christmas to everyone. Take care, guys.
Happy holidays to you too.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Hey, Courtney.
And for anyone interested in following Courtney, you can follow her on Twitter at Lou3. That's love with a U, not an O. So interesting spelling there, but yes.
Great.
Honest, I guess. Yeah, I think again maybe we'll say it's Dan's rants, but maybe it's also when Doc's here, he usually gives also really detailed advice. So maybe the lack of lead us to a bit of a shorter episode. I also kept my best to not overly rant either. I think I was on my best behavior.
Oh no, it's like the right time, right? Like we're supposed to stop before the game starts. So people can get
I know, right? We're actually going to do it on time. Jeff will be happy with this time. We'll see it like, just over an hour. Okay, perfect.
Exactly. Did you do the Christmas show last night?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it was.
What was that? Yeah.
Good. Yeah, we played Jeopardy, and almost had an epic comeback. A bit like the Browns here, just came up short though.
Yeah, I would say I'm sad, but I'm not because it helps the Steelers. Even though Hunter Renfrow only had 3 receptions, I'm not even sure what's happening in that game right there.
It's funny because I think in one of my playoff games, I have Nick Chubb and my opponent has Hunter Renfrow. So if neither did well, I guess that's neutralizing it better for me. I'm the one that's got the lead. So I have Chubb.
Was Chubb hurt?
Oh boy, I don't know. I hope not.
He had 91 yards and a touchdown.
Oh, okay, never mind. He's great. That looks pretty great.
Yeah, I would take that. Hunter Henry had 3 receptions and 32 yards. So.
Okay, yeah, I think I'm up by quite a bit. Who do they have left? I think they have. It was Antonio Gibson tomorrow, so I think
I'm down by 40 points, and I have Stafford, had Renfrow, Antonio Gibson, somebody else. Oh, Boston Scott, because that was the trade-off for the Duke Johnson.
Oh, no.
I know.
Yeah, rough. Because, I mean, who knows about Scott, right? Because Jordan Howard might be active.
Exactly.
I might even go check. Like, if Jordan Howard's active, even go pick up Jordan Howard and play him as Boston Scott. Like,
I think I did. I tried to get him off the waivers. But
okay.
In our league, the waiver wire won't hit until after this week's games. So I couldn't pick him up.
That's
it
rough.
Did suck.
Yeah.
I cried a little. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, is that our dynasty league? Oh, I guess, yeah, you're like me, didn't make the playoffs in that either.
Yeah. I'm in the toilet bowl in that league. I think
you've got your own first round pick. I don't. So the non-playoff teams are a little better suited than I am right now. So I've got to work by.
Yeah, there's always that.
But you like dynasty talk? I know I'll be starting to co-host the Dynasty Gambit in January. January 6th, I believe, is our first Thursday doing that. But Gladys, so we still have 2 more 2-point episodes. I know I'll be gone next week, so you will be in charge of everyone. So you're the one that's got to keep Dan on his back. Actually, I guess you do that every week anyway.
Yeah.
the usual assignment.
Wait, so you're going to do Dynasty Gambit now? You didn't do Dynasty Gambit with
Yeah.
us, did you?
I did, yeah. I joined them. I didn't start the off season with Dynasty Gambit, but
Okay.
after I know one of their co-hosts couldn't make it on, they asked me to join as a guest, and then it seemed like I was just kind of a guest for a couple weeks after that, and then eventually Doc and Hamid just had me come on as a full-time co-host. So
Oh, nice. Okay.
just yeah, I'll take mantle for Hamid, who's no longer going for two, and it seems like Doc probably won't be doing that either. So I'll be one of the OG. Chris and Devin, who I've done a couple episodes with, kind of in season. I know Hamid started in season with them as well too. So we're looking for some interesting dynasty conversations again.
So
But
you'll be
again,
doing
two more. Sorry.
Next, you'll be doing 2 shows in the off season then.
Yeah. I'll be the press coverage.
Nice.
Again, it'll be every 2
Nice.
weeks, so it's a little easier to manage that.
Good. Okay. But 2 more 2-point conversions.
Yep. Yeah. So we're going right to that final Monday night game, which I believe is your Steelers. Actually, that finale will be a Pittsburgh finale on the 3rd, if I'm not mistaken.
It will be a game that against the no.
I think.
Nope. It's not.
Oh, it's not. My mistake.
Yeah, it's not.
Sorry,
Thanks.
I thought it was them and Cleveland. Maybe I must be mistaken with another weekend. All
No,
right,
on
sorry.
the Thursday-
Sorry
on the
to
Thursday,
get your hopes up.
Cleveland versus the Steelers on Monday night.
Okay.
But we're hoping the Cleveland's out by then, so it doesn't matter. So Steelers
Oh no,
will
but
just,
I was saying that's our finale though. Like that's our final.
Oh,
After
yeah,
you
yeah.
get your Steelers. That's what I'm trying to get to the
Yeah.
point at.
Uh,
Positive optimism. I don't know. Maybe you're not looking forward to talking about your Steelers. Actually,
No, I'm not actually. I'm not. We should run that. Okay. Anyway, thank you for being the consummate host once again, Kyle. I will see you in 2 weeks. Have a good time next week. Are you
Yes,
going to visit
absolutely.
family
yeah.
for the holidays?
Mm-hmm.
In
Yeah,
case you guys don't know, Kyle's a teacher, so he's off for the holidays. Yay! So,
Lucky me.
Conklin or RSJ? Who's Conklin?
Oh, thank you, Tyler Conklin.
Yeah.
So Tyler Conklin or Ricky Seals Jones? Honestly, I think Ricky Seals Jones is questionable. I think I'd just play Conklin.
Conklin.
Avoid taking the 0. And again, Allen, I don't know that the upside's there with RSJ to even take the risk. So I think it's Conklin pretty easily.
Yeah.
Sorry if
Conklin.
a bit of delay if I missed that. But yeah, I think
No,
Conklin
no
just safer, and I think safer and higher upside. I think you knock out both that way.
There you go. All right, everyone. Good luck on your fantasy playoffs. I'm gonna go and cry a little bit because apparently Hunter Renfrow got hurt or something. Who knows? My fantasy team sucks.
I'm sorry, ran for fantasy teams. Okay, good. Glad the message was received. Thank you, all in one show. All in one. This is the 2 version, but yes. Again, so Gladys at Gladys. Sal Tyler, I'm at Senra Says. Follow every going for 2 at going for _2 gives you access. That's all the articles, everything going for 2, and also the live network is at going for 2 live. Follow us on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook. You could watch it on Twitter. You can't comment, but yeah, everything at going for 2 live because it's not just the 2-point conversion. There's still a few more shows through the rest of the season and then into the off season. So everything great at going for 2. Gladys, always great to be with you. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Kyle. We'll see you soon. Have a safe trip. Have a great holiday, everyone. Bye.
Likewise, if you're traveling, safe travels to everyone. Happy holidays. As the 2-point conversion.